So a little quick tip, if you're traveling with your bow, I travel quite often, and the airlines do not take care of your stuff at all. Aside from using a really good case and packing some clothes around your bow, and making sure you keep your broadheads in a hard case and anything sharp not floating around in your case. Definitely don't want to have broadheads floating around there, knives, whatever. I keep everything in a hard case. I use that SKB case, and I try to keep everything all compartmentalized. And when I put the bow in there, I wrap things with clothing, and anything that's in there basically has a little bit of clothing around it. But one of the other things I do is I mark my bow. I go through and I take a Sharpie. I prefer the silver one because it shows really well. Silver Sharpie mark it, and I go and mark my bow. Okay, so a couple of things that I mark. I'll put marks on either one of the bolts and the limb pocket connections, basically, so that you know if you have to make any adjustments here, you know how many turns or whatever. But for traveling, more than anything, if you see, I put marks on either side of my peep. I'll put a mark, I'll color where the knock point is. I'll put a little mark above and below my kisser button, so that I know if any of that stuff slides or it's off. I mark my rest. I'll make a mark where all the adjustment points are on the rest. You barely see that, but it's just a little dot, whatever. And then of course on the sight, and I know a lot of guys do that too, so I'll know if the windage moves, there's a little mark there. The elevation moves, there's a mark right there. I'll also mark the locking washers and stuff like that, just to see, because you never know if that stuff moves or becomes loose or something, or I don't know, man. They just don't treat your stuff good. Last year going to Missouri, I found my bow. The cables were cut inside the bow, and I didn't have a knife or anything floating around in there, so I had no clue how it happened, but definitely didn't happen from stuff that I did. I'm very careful with it. So just little stuff like this can make or break your hunt, especially if you're traveling to hunt. So just a cool little tip.